precisely 6:15. This is the news on Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. News is edited by Anjan Doramgoda, read by Sabrina Zawahir. The headlines. Students of Political Science Association and Students' Parliament of Royal College meet with the President. Prime Minister says subcommittee will be appointed to amend the local government laws to suit the current situation. The Sports Minister instructs to move State Ministry of Sports out of World Trade Center, saving 4.2 million rupees monthly. US welcomes Sri Lanka's debt deal with creditor nations. The Minister of Transport and Highways says Sri Lanka secures 20 billion rupees from ADB for rural road renovations. At least 30 injured in bus accident in Valikanda. And in world news, Malaysia passes anti-smoking bill aimed at protecting minors. And in sports news, Uganda qualify for Men's T20 World Cup for first time. Now the local news in detail. A group of 107 students from the Political Science Association and students from Parliament of Royal College, Colombo, had the distinct honour of meeting with President Ranil Wickremesinghe at the Presidential Secretariat yesterday. President's Media Division said in alignment with the President's vision to foster educational experiences, the group of students had the unique opportunity to visit significant educational sites in Colombo, including the Presidential Secretariat. In a motivational address, President Wickremesinghe stressed the pivotal role these students would play as future political leaders of the nation. Encouraging them to steadfastly pursue their academia, he commended their dedication and extended compliments for their promising future endeavours. Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena said that a subcommittee consisting of members of Parliament will be established to amend the local government laws that have been in force for almost a century to suit the current social conditions. He said this recently while presiding the Ministerial Consultative Committee on Public Administration, Home Affairs, Provincial Councils and Local Government. Kegol District Member of Parliament Sudat Manjula proposed at the committee to appoint an official with local government expertise to the post of secretary, as the transfer of trained and experienced officers of those institutions has been identified as a serious problem in order to perform the services of local government institutions more effectively. As a strategic cost-cutting initiative, the newly appointed Sports Minister Harin Fernando has instructed to move the State Ministry of Sports from the World Trade Center to the Sports Ministry building in Colombo 7. A substantial monthly expenditure of 4.2 million rupees was recorded for the maintenance of the State Sports Minister's office at the World Trade Center. The minister stated that the Minister of State can perform his duties effectively from the office of the Ministry of Sports and emphasized the practicality of utilizing the existing infrastructure. Since he is also the Minister of Tourism, he has informed the Ministry Secretary that his office will continue to be in the Ministry of Tourism, allowing the State Sports Minister to operate from the premises of the Ministry of Sports. Furthermore, the Minister Fernando has also instructed the Ministry Secretary to allocate the approximately 50 million rupees annually saved annually through this relocation to the Sports Development Fund. This news is brought to you by Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Continuing local news, the United States has welcomed the in-principle agreement reached between Sri Lanka and the official creditor committee on specific financing terms to restructure the island nation's debt in line with the parameters set in the International Monetary Fund program. The U.S. Ambassador in Colombo, Julie Chang, said this agreement supports a viable path to economic stability for Sri Lanka. Ambassador Chang emphasized that the agreement on debt restructuring and sound economic policies are crucial for the timely release of the next tranche of the IMF's bailout package, which she said would provide the much-needed financial support for continued economic stabilization, recovery, and the improvement of public services benefiting the people of Sri Lanka. The ambassador reiterated that the United States stands by Sri Lanka for a sustainable recovery. At least 30 passengers have been injured after a bus they were travelling in ran off the road and overturned in Valikandamanampitiya area. The police said the accident happened at the 8th kilometre post of the Valikanda-Sinhapura road when the bus driver was unable to control the speed of the bus. It is reported that the bus was transporting employees of a private company and there were around 75 people in the bus at the time of the accident. The injured have been admitted to the Valikanda Regional Hospital and some have been transferred to Polonnaruwa Hospital for further treatment. Meanwhile, in separate incident, the Alla-Vallavai road has been completely blocked due to an earth slip in the upper area of the Ravana Falls today. Motorists passing through the area have been inconvenienced owing to the situation, and heavy traffic congestion is also reported in the area. That ends local news.
The main news story is brought to you by Sinhala Mahatma.
The President's Media Division said President Ranil Wickremesinghe has left the island to attend the COP28 World Leaders Summit to be held in Dubai, UAE. The 2023 United Nations Climate Change Conference will be held from November 30th until December 12th with the aim of tackling pressing climate change issues and addressing critical decisions. The head of the state, accompanied by 3 ministers, 2 opposition MPs and 20 young participants passionate about environmental concerns, will take part in this pivotal conference in Dubai. The primary objective of the Sri Lankan delegation is to harness support and collaboration from countries in the tropical belt to influence policy-making decisions on a global scale. The 28th Conference of the Parties of the UNFCCC will convene world leaders, public-private representatives, environmentalists and scholars. President Wickremesinghe will be envisioning 3 key focal points at the event: the launch of the Climate Justice Forum, the Tropical Belt Initiative, and the establishment of a climate change university. That was main news.
The main news story was brought to you by Sinhala Mahatma.
Moving on to Watchlight. The new Kalani Bridge, also known as the Golden Gate Kalaniya Bridge, will be closed under 3 phases starting from Friday, according to the Road Development Authority. Motorists are advised to use alternative routes to avoid congestion. That came to in Watchlight. Moving on to world news. Taking a look at the headlines of the world news. Malaysia passes anti-smoking bill aimed at protecting minors. Google will start deleting inactive photos and Gmail accounts next week on 1st of December. Manila considering preserving body of the world's saddest elephant. Now the world news in detail. Malaysia's lower house of parliament passed an anti-smoking bill aimed at protecting minors from nicotine-containing products, including vaping devices today. Tabled by the health minister, the bill includes the provision prohibiting the sale and purchase of tobacco products, smoking materials or tobacco substitute products, and providing any services related to smoking to minors. The minister explained that the proposed act would regulate 3 categories of tobacco products: firstly, processed tobacco, or any tobacco-containing product designed for human consumption. Google will start deleting inactive photos and Gmail accounts next week on December 1st. This is a planned move that Google announced back in May, with the company explaining that accounts that have been active for 2 years will face deletion. That includes wiping all content associated with an account, which could be Drive, Google Photos, and Docs files. In a post on its blog, the keyword Google's VP of Product Management, Ruth cringely explained that this is a necessary security measure. The Manila city government is looking to preserve the body of Mali, the sole elephant at the Manila Zoo who died on November 28th. Manila Mayor Hani Lacuna suggested taxidermy for Mali so she could be displayed in a museum. Mali, who had lived alone at the zoo for more than 40 years, could have died of heart failure, according to Manila Zoo's chief vet, Dr. Heinrich Patrick. Animal rights activists has described as Mali as one of the world's saddest elephants. There is no record of exactly how old she was, but she is believed to be 48 to 49 years old. That ends World News. Prior to concluding, the headlines of the World News once again. Malaysia passes anti-smoking bill aimed at protecting minors. Google will start deleting inactive photos and Gmail accounts next week on 1st of December. Manila considering preserving body of the world's saddest elephant. That was the World News.
Development News.
Minister of Transport, Highways and Mass Media Dr. Bandula Gunawardena in a significant move towards infrastructural development. Minister Dr. Gunawardena announced today that the renovation of dilapidated rural roads across the island nation is set to commence next week. This ambitious project, aimed at reviving essential transportation networks, has received substantial support from the Asian Development Bank, which has agreed to provide a loan amounting to nearly 20 billion rupees. Minister Gunawardena, addressing a news conference at the Presidential Media Centre under the theme Collective Path to a Stable Country today, emphasized the pivotal role the loan will play in regenerating the nation's road infrastructure. He highlighted that the timely disbursement of funds would enable the commencement of road restructuring work within the next week. That was Development News.
Moving on with sports news.
Uganda qualified for the Men's T20 World Cup for the first time with a 9-wicket victory over Rwanda in African qualifying. The win meant the cricket Cranes, ranked 23rd in the world, clinched second place in the 6-team tournament in Windhoek, Namibia. Uganda will join Namibia at the 20-team finals in the United States and the West Indies next year after the Eagles qualified with a game to spare recently. That was Sports News.
Go ekakiyana youth ekata life eke change ekata niyameta set wenna as wagena dagapuina habe karanna youth ekata niyameta set wenna friendship eka menna.
The all-new NSB Itru account, NSB IAM, a plan for your dream.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Soul Sounds Choir, Sri Lanka's premier female choral ensemble, marks a momentous milestone this year, 2 decades of enchanting audiences worldwide with their soulful melodies and unwavering dedication to the art of choral singing. Under the visionary guidance of music director Soundari David Rodrigo and an artistic director Jerome Elde Silva, the choir has not only garnered international acclaim but also stands as ambassadors showcasing the cultural heritage and artistry of Sri Lanka. Soul Sounds has embarked on an extraordinary musical journey, going on to captivate audiences across continents, taking them to India, China, Australia, Kuwait, Austria, France, the USA, Malaysia and South Africa. That was Business News.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Go ekakiyana youth ekata life eke change ekata niyameta set wenna as wagena dagapuina habe karanna youth ekata niyameta set wenna friendship eka menna.
The all-new NSB Itru account, NSB IAM, a plan for your dream.
Moving on to economic news, Sri Lanka's overall rate of inflation, as measured by the Colombo Consumer Price Index on year-on-year basis, has increased to 3.4% in November from 1.5% in October. The Department of Census and Statistics in its latest report said the year-on-year inflation of the food group increased to 3.6% in November from 5.2% in October. Meanwhile, the year-on-year inflation of the non-food group rose to 6.8% in November from 4.9% in October. That was Economic News.
Weather report.
Finally, we take a look at the weather report. Showery weather conditions is expected to enhance over the island due to low pressure area over southeast Bay of Bengal Sea area, and northeast monsoon is gradually getting established over the island. Showers or thundershowers will occur at times in northern, north central and eastern provinces, and heavy showers about 100 millimeters are likely at some places in eastern province and in Polonnaruwa district. Showers or thundershowers will occur at several places in other provinces of the island after 1 p.m. Fairly heavy showers, about 75 millimeters, are likely at some places in the western and the Sabaragamuwa province and in the Galle and Mathura districts. That was the weather report. Prior to concluding this bulletin of news, the headlines once again. Students of Political Science Association and students Parliament of Royal College meet with the President. Prime Minister says subcommittee will be appointed to amend the local government laws to suit the current situation. The Sports Minister instructs to move the State Ministry of Sports out of World Trade Center, saving 4.2 million rupees monthly. US welcomes Sri Lanka's debt deal with creditor nations. The Minister of Transport and Highways says Sri Lanka secures 20 billion rupees from ADB for rural road renovations. At least 30 injured in bus accident in Velikanda. With that, we conclude the news, and over to my friend and certainly yours, who's all geared up to keep you entertained with a wonderful collection of music. Over to you, Mariella.